What if I told you that the life you're living today was quietly decided before breakfast? Not by luck, not by fate, but by the first 20 minutes after you opened your eyes. Stay until the end, because you'll discover why listening to the right message every morning can slowly erase fear, rebuild confidence, reshape your identity, and change the direction of your entire life without changing anything else around you. If this message is helping you see yourself in a completely different way, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. These teachings are designed for those who are serious about mastering their minds, breaking old patterns, and building a life directed by awareness rather than habit. Now let's continue. The first moments after you wake are unlike any other period of the day. Before the noise of responsibilities, conversations, and endless distractions begins, your mind exists in a unique state of openness. It has not yet fully built the mental walls that protect your daily identity. During these precious minutes, the thoughts you allow to enter your awareness travel deeper than you realize. They do not merely pass through your consciousness, they begin shaping it. This is why the first 20 minutes of every morning are far more important than most people have ever been taught. Many people unknowingly surrender this powerful window to anxiety. They wake up and immediately reach for their phones, exposing themselves to news, arguments, emails, and comparisons before they have even spoken a single encouraging word to themselves. Without realizing it, they allow the outside world to decide how they will think, feel, and react for the rest of the day. Their emotional state becomes a reflection of external events instead of an expression of inner stability. Day after day, this silent habit slowly programs fear, distraction, and emotional dependence. But imagine beginning differently. Imagine waking up and feeding your mind with words that awaken courage instead of worry, purpose instead of confusion, and clarity instead of chaos. In those first 20 minutes, your unconscious mind absorbs repeated ideas with remarkable depth. What you consistently hear becomes familiar, and what becomes familiar slowly transforms into belief. Eventually, those beliefs begin directing your actions without you even noticing. Your confidence grows quietly, your decisions become stronger, and your reactions become calmer, because your inner world has been trained before the outer world had a chance to influence it. This is why true transformation rarely begins with dramatic events or sudden breakthroughs. It begins with small, consistent moments repeated every single day. Listening to a powerful message every morning is not about temporary motivation. It is about building a new psychological foundation. Every repetition weakens an old pattern of fear while strengthening a new pattern of confidence. Over weeks and months, your identity starts shifting. You no longer struggle to act differently because you have slowly become a different person from within. So before you chase success, approval, or happiness throughout the day, protect the first 20 minutes after waking. Guard them as if they were the blueprint for your future, because in many ways they are. The voice you choose to listen to each morning gradually becomes the voice that speaks inside your own mind for the rest of the day. When that inner voice becomes one of wisdom, discipline, and hope, instead of doubt and fear, your life does not change overnight. But it begins changing every single morning until one day you realize you have become someone you once only imagined. Every human being carries on a conversation that no one else can hear. It begins the moment you wake up and continues until you fall asleep. This quiet dialogue may seem insignificant because it happens so naturally, yet it is one of the most powerful forces shaping your life. Long before your actions become visible, they are rehearsed in your mind through the words you repeatedly say to yourself. Your inner voice is not merely describing your reality, it is quietly creating it. If that voice constantly whispers, "I'm not good enough, nothing ever works out for me," or "I'll probably fail," your mind begins accepting those statements as truth. Once a belief is accepted, your behavior starts aligning with it. You hesitate when opportunity appears. You avoid challenges that could help you grow. You interpret small setbacks as proof that your fears were right all along. In this way, your inner voice becomes the architect of an invisible prison, built not from facts, but from repeated thoughts that were never questioned. But the remarkable truth is that this inner dialogue is not fixed. It can be retrained with patience and repetition. Every morning offers a fresh opportunity to replace limiting thoughts with words that strengthen your identity. When you consistently listen to messages of courage, resilience, discipline, and self-respect, your mind slowly begins adopting those qualities as familiar. At first, the new beliefs may feel uncomfortable because they challenge old patterns. Yet with enough repetition, they stop feeling like hopeful ideas and begin feeling like undeniable truths. This change does not happen because you are pretending everything is perfect. It happens because your mind naturally grows toward whatever it hears most often. The unconscious does not carefully judge every statement that enters it. Instead, it responds to repetition. What you hear repeatedly becomes what you expect influences how you act, and how you act ultimately shapes the results you experience. Your outer world often reflects the conversations taking place inside you long before anyone else notices them. That is why protecting your inner voice is one of the greatest acts of self-transformation. The world will always offer criticism, uncertainty, and distraction, but you can choose the voice that becomes your constant companion. Spend 20 intentional minutes each morning listening to words that remind you of your strength, your purpose, and your potential. Over time, those words will no longer sound like someone else's encouragement. They will become your own inner voice, the one that guides your decisions, steadies you in difficult moments, and quietly leads you toward the life you are capable of creating. Most people believe that transformation arrives with dramatic moments, a life-changing opportunity, a powerful speech, or a sudden breakthrough that instantly changes everything. But genuine change rarely announces itself with noise. More often it begins in complete silence. It starts in the quiet moments when no one is watching, when there is no applause, no recognition, and no audience. It is in these moments that your deepest thoughts become visible and your true self begins to emerge. The modern world has become addicted to constant distraction. The moment we wake up, we are surrounded by notifications, opinions, entertainment, and endless information competing for our attention. While these distractions keep the mind busy, they also prevent us from hearing something far more important, the quiet voice within. Beneath all the noise lies a deeper awareness that has been patiently waiting for your attention. It does not shout or demand to be heard. It simply waits for the moment you become still enough to listen. When you spend 20 peaceful minutes each morning listening to words that inspire reflection rather than reaction, something remarkable begins to happen. Your mind gradually slows down, and the emotional fog that once clouded your judgment starts to lift. You begin noticing fears you never questioned, habits you unconsciously repeated, and beliefs that no longer serve the person you want to become. This awareness is not a sign of weakness. It is the beginning of wisdom. You cannot transform what you refuse to see, and silence allows hidden truths to come into the light. Many people spend years trying to change their circumstances while ignoring the inner patterns creating those circumstances. They search for better jobs, healthier relationships, or greater success, believing external change will finally bring inner peace. Yet lasting transformation always moves in the opposite direction. When your thoughts become clearer, your choices become wiser. When your emotions become steadier, your relationships improve. When your inner world changes, your outer world gradually follows. Every meaningful change in life begins as an invisible shift in consciousness before it becomes a visible change in reality. So do not fear silence each morning, welcome it. Protect those 20 minutes as a sacred meeting with your own mind. In that quiet space, you are not escaping the world. You are preparing yourself to face it with greater clarity, confidence, and purpose. Day after day, those moments of stillness become the foundation of a stronger identity. And one morning, without even realizing when it happened, you will notice that the person who once reacted with fear now responds with calm. The person who once doubted now believes, and the life that once felt controlled by circumstances is now guided by inner awareness. Every morning your mind is like untouched soil waiting for its first seeds. Before the demands of the day take over, your thoughts are unusually receptive, and whatever enters your awareness first begins to take root. Most people pay close attention to what they eat because they understand that food shapes the body. Yet very few pay the same attention to what they feed their minds. The truth is that your mental diet is just as important as your physical one. The ideas, words, and emotions you absorb each morning quietly become the building blocks of your identity. Think about how often you begin your day with negativity without even realizing it. You scroll through alarming headlines, compare yourself to carefully edited lives on social media, or immediately focus on everything that could go wrong. These experiences may seem harmless because they last only a few minutes, but the mind does not easily forget what it repeatedly consumes. Every fearful thought, every discouraging message, and every unnecessary distraction leaves a small impression. Over time, those impressions combine to form habits of thinking, and those habits eventually define the person you believe yourself to be. Now imagine replacing that daily habit with something entirely different. Imagine spending 20 intentional minutes each morning listening to words that remind you of your strength, your purpose, and your ability to overcome difficulty. Instead of feeding your mind doubt, you nourish it with courage. Instead of beginning the day with confusion, you begin with clarity. These messages do more than motivate you for a few hours. Through repetition, they slowly reshape your beliefs. What once seemed impossible begins to feel achievable, and what once felt unfamiliar gradually becomes part of who you are. Identity is not created in a single extraordinary moment. It is formed through thousands of ordinary choices repeated over time. Every morning you decide what deserves your attention. You are also deciding who you are becoming. A person who consistently fills their mind with wisdom begins making wiser decisions. A person who repeatedly focuses on gratitude begins noticing opportunities instead of obstacles. A person who trains the mind toward discipline eventually acts with discipline without forcing it. Your character is built one repeated thought at a time, until those thoughts become your natural way of seeing the world. So guard the entrance to your mind with the same care you would guard the entrance to your home. Do not allow fear, resentment, or endless distraction to become your first companions each morning. Instead, choose ideas that strengthen your spirit and expand your awareness. The 20 minutes you dedicate to feeding your mind with truth, purpose, and inner strength may seem small today, but they will quietly shape the person you become tomorrow. And when your identity changes from the inside, your actions, your relationships, and your entire life begin to reflect that transformation in ways you never imagined possible. Every person carries a hidden side that rarely appears in public. It is made of fears we refuse to admit, emotions we suppress, memories we avoid, and desires we hide even from ourselves. Most people spend their lives trying to silence this hidden part, believing that ignoring it will make it disappear. But what remains buried does not vanish. It quietly influences your decisions, your relationships, and your reactions long before you become aware of it. The greatest obstacles in your life often come not from the world around you, but from the parts of yourself you have never truly faced. The early morning is one of the few moments when this hidden world becomes easier to notice. Before the demands of the day begin, the mind is less distracted, and subtle emotions have room to surface. You may wake with unexplained anxiety, self-doubt, regret, or a strange feeling that something is missing. Instead of pushing these feelings away or covering them with endless distractions, see them as messages. They are not your enemies. They are signals pointing toward areas of your life that need understanding, healing, and growth. When you spend 20 quiet minutes each morning listening to words that encourage honesty and self-reflection, you begin developing the courage to face these hidden patterns. You start recognizing the fears that have been controlling your choices without your permission. You notice how old disappointments have shaped your expectations, how past criticism has weakened your confidence, and how unspoken pain has quietly influenced the way you see yourself. Awareness is the first step toward freedom. Once you can clearly see these patterns, they begin losing the power they once held over you. Many people believe strength means never feeling fear or sadness. In reality, true strength comes from meeting those emotions with awareness instead of running from them. The person who acknowledges insecurity has the opportunity to build genuine confidence. The person who recognizes hidden anger can transform it into wisdom and self-control. Every uncomfortable emotion carries a lesson, and every lesson accepted with honesty becomes a source of inner power. What once felt like a weakness can become the very foundation of your greatest transformation. So each morning, do not seek only comforting words, seek truthful ones. Let those 20 minutes become a mirror that reflects not only your potential, but also the hidden habits and beliefs that keep you from reaching it. The world will always respond to the person you present on the outside, but your future is shaped by what happens within. When you stop hiding from the parts of yourself that need attention and begin meeting them with courage, compassion, and understanding, those hidden shadows no longer control your life. Instead, they become stepping stones toward a stronger, wiser, and more authentic version of yourself. Many people wait for a single life-changing moment to transform them. They believe one powerful speech, one unforgettable experience, or one burst of motivation will permanently alter the course of their lives. But the human mind does not change through intensity alone. It changes through repetition. Lasting transformation is not the result of what inspires you once. It is the result of what you consistently expose yourself to every single day. The smallest habit, repeated faithfully, often becomes more powerful than the greatest moment of inspiration. Consider how your current identity was formed. It was not created overnight. It was built through years of repeated thoughts, repeated emotions, and repeated behaviors. Every time you doubted yourself, avoided a challenge, or believed a limiting thought, that mental pathway became a little stronger. Eventually, those repeated patterns became automatic. They no longer felt like choices, they felt like who you were. This is why so many people struggle to change. They are trying to fight years of repetition with a few moments of motivation. The encouraging truth is that the same principle that created old patterns can also create new ones. When you dedicate 20 minutes every morning to listening to messages that strengthen your character, expand your awareness, and remind you of your purpose, you begin building new mental pathways. At first, the changes may seem invisible. You may not notice dramatic differences after a few days or even a few weeks. But beneath the surface, your mind is quietly adapting. New beliefs are taking root, healthier habits are forming, and your responses to life's challenges are slowly becoming stronger and more intentional. This is why consistency matters more than perfection. Missing one day will not define your future, just as one healthy meal does not transform your body. What matters is returning again and again to the practice. Every morning you choose to feed your mind with wisdom instead of worry, courage instead of fear, and purpose instead of distraction. You are casting another vote for the person you wish to become. Over time, those countless small decisions accumulate into a completely different identity. The transformation may be gradual, but it is profound, because it is built on a solid foundation rather than temporary emotion. So never underestimate the power of 20 intentional minutes. They may seem insignificant compared to the demands of an entire day, yet they have the ability to influence every decision that follows. The words you hear repeatedly become the beliefs you carry. The beliefs you carry shape the actions you take, and the actions you take ultimately determine the life you create.